I'm pretty convinced that moms, they run the world. That's right, Beyonce. I hear you, girl. I hear you. Okay, listen, every mom is different though, right? Every mom has different gifts, different struggles, different circumstances. But I am convinced that every mom in the history of ever has wrestled with an idea of your identity. So let's talk about 4 important truths to remember when motherhood feels like it is taking over your entire life, because we have all been there if you are a mom. All right, first, I have to pass along the best advice that I ever received about balancing motherhood and marriage. When we were pregnant with our first, it was I that was obviously physically pregnant. And I remember someone told us, they're like, just look at it like your kids are entering your world, not the other way around. And I thought that's really good advice. Now, I will say that won't feel true 24/7 by any means, but it was kind of this good filter, at least for Winston and I, to make decisions out of, because I think it forced us to prioritize things that really made us us and prioritize our marriage and what, causes us to thrive as individuals in a healthy marriage. And as this baby enters that, like not forgetting those things, right? And people always say, like, don't lose yourself, if you will, when you have kids, if like your only fulfillment is your kids. And I get that, but also our kids are a big part of our lives. It is like your heart is out there. And so there is this tendency, obviously, as a mom, that you're like, I want to take care and do what I need to do to help this little one grow. And that's part of stewarding parenting, right? Like I am here to manage this little human on earth, and it is my responsibility to allow to, show them how the world works so that they can be a healthy, functioning adult. And kids, listen, they are learning, they are growing, they're going to disappoint you, they're going to make you laugh, they're going to do all the things. But there is something to say that, like, you as an individual, as a woman, you bring something to the world and to your family that is you. And there's something beautiful in that, and not losing that, right? And finding this fulfillment in other relationships that are alongside you. And I would even put marriage in that. But having this like healthy outlook of you are the individual that has chosen to have this marriage maybe, or to have children, and not forgetting her. It's really, really important. Now, another truth that is important to remember is that every mom is different, okay? There are some moms that are extroverts, some moms that are homebodies, some moms that are comfortable letting their kids explore. There's going to be more cautious moms. Like, you're going to find your natural bent as a mom, and that is okay. And this is where comparison can creep in, and it is terrible, y'all. It's terrible. Do not compare yourself to other people. And I found myself being like, I have to be on the go, because I'm a natural on the go person. So I'm like, I like to be busy and do things. And I remember with Amelia, I was like, we are not stopping our social life. And little Amelia got toted around everywhere, y'all. We kept a pack and play, like literally in the trunk of our car. And we would still go to friends' houses and pop that up in a closet. And life was great. I was like, we can do this. And it was fine. But then we had 2 babies, and it was like, all right, this makes it a little bit more difficult. And then 3, you're like, we're just home for the rest of our lives. That's what it feels like after the 3rd one came. But there was something about knowing who I was, what gives me life, and figuring out kind of like what works around that. And so there's something about that I think is beautiful. But don't compare what you're doing with someone else, because other moms, they have other giftings. What they are good at, what they get out of life is so different than you. And that is okay. So I'm always on the team of no judgment. No judgment. Like, you do you, girl. That is great. Whatever you can do it. Now, one thing I do recommend for all parents to get serious about is cleaning up your personal info online. And this is why I love and use Delete Me. Because if you do not remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard with your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names are out there. And sketchy data brokers go out there and they collect your data, then they sell it, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is that Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use Delete Me, and we love it because it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9 a month. Click the link in the description. You get all the details there. All right, number 3 is to remember that every season of motherhood is different. There are some seasons that are just going to require way more of your attention because you don't want your kid to choke on applesauce, right? And like when they are little, it is like so hands on deck, like more than you even realize. If you're in that season, like you're doing more than you probably even think you're doing. And we're like, I'm good. You're doing a lot. Like, just remember that it is a lot. And then when you're in a season, which is what we have moved into, is like they're self-sufficient. And it's amazing. Like they like make their own cereal in the morning. Like there's just stuff that they can do. Just a few weekends ago, it was like a really rainy Saturday and I was in bed reading a book. And all the kids, they were playing out there, making forts and doing what they're doing in and out, and we're just, having our Saturday. And I looked up and I was like, oh, I've like been in my bed for 2 hours. Like my children are out there. But I'm like, you know what? That's okay. Because the season of life I'm in, I can do that. And they're going to survive out there. Like they're okay. Because it's just an incredible thing where I used to have to feed them like every single meal and monitor every single thing. Like even when they went to the bathroom, they needed my assistance. Like there was so much hands-on stuff. And now that I'm entering this new season, it's insane. I can't even imagine having teenagers where they're like not even in the house much anymore, right? So this season I'm in, I'm like, oh, this looks so different. And it's actually a really beautiful thing. So remember that. You've paid your dues, moms. You're okay. You are okay. All right, number 4 is to never stop investing in yourself. And we hear this a lot, and it is true that mothers are very selfless. Like we give so much of us away, and it is a beautiful thing. And I think there is that level of motherhood that does require a level of sacrifice, and it's great. But I will say, being so selfless and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, when it's negatively affecting you, you have to realize that like a red flag may need to be raised. I have found so much of like, understanding yourself and taking care of you is not a selfish thing. Like there is something beautiful about that, but it has a means to an end. You're doing that so that you can be full in life to then go and give, right? Whether it's relationships or your kids or your marriage, like whatever that looks like. And so there is like a lot of talk about like self-help and all this, which I think is beautiful and actually really great. Getting yourself to a healthy spot in your life is really, really important so that you can be able to go and serve and to give and live a fulfilled life. And so don't drain yourself completely. If you don't have anything in your cup, there's nothing that you can pour out to other people. And so remember to fill your cup, whatever that looks like. And it may look different season to season, but always remember that. Recently, there was a viral audio clip on Instagram that said the number one indicator for whether children grow up to thrive is the quality of their mother's happiness. I think that's beautiful. Like there is something to be said when you are serving others out of the outpour of joy that is in you. That is a beautiful thing. So remember that. Serve out of abundance of yourself, not out of this like scarcity where you're running yourself ragged. So remember, and the self-help stuff, like do what you got to do, but like really deeply take care of yourself. Sit in silence, have some solitude where you can. If you have the means and the time, like go to therapy. It's a beautiful thing. Sit with a spiritual sense of like being aware of God. Like there are things that you can do that really don't cost much. Therapy does, but everything else doesn't that I just mentioned. But like pedicures, manicures, bubble baths, like all that's fine. But like genuinely take care of your soul, moms. Take care of your soul. All right. There's so much noise though out there about like parenting the right way. And so I never want to like be that person that's like, this is how you should do it. But I do have an interesting take on being the classroom parent versus the Venmo parent, because there's a discussion about that online right now. So if you want to hear my thoughts, click here to watch that. Or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So there are definitely some things that I love to splurge on. I love a good hotel. I love a good high quality handbag. But at the end of the day, I prefer to ball on a budget when it comes to everyday items that I shop for. And there are some things that I will always say no to. So today I'm sharing popular products that, in my opinion, are a complete waste of money. And be sure to stick around to the end because the last item on my list is a financial product trap that everyone needs to avoid. So first, let's just start off with a little bit of humor because the whole reason this topic has been on my mind lately is because we had a slightly traumatic experience at this dinosaur exhibit that was a complete ripoff. So on Instagram, I kept seeing this ad for this dinosaur thing coming to Nashville. And Charles, my 4-year-old, loves dinosaurs, like loves them. Dinosaur underwear, dinosaur shirts, dinosaurs. And so I was like, this would be such a good thing. Like, I don't normally do this. I'm not like buying tickets out to stuff all the time, but like this would be a fun family thing to do on a Saturday where we didn't have anything, which rarely happens either. We go. It was the most terrible experience I've had in a really long time. We were totally ripped off, y'all. I mean, like, just know there was a grown man dressed up as a dinosaur, and the dinosaur's name was Diego, and he came, and Diego spun around, Diego sat, and Diego stood back up. That was part of the exhibit, was that. It was so bad, y'all. And it was rainy and muddy. It was outside, and like they had bounce houses that I bought extra tickets for, and the bounce houses were like puddles of mud and kids and sweat. Like, it was just gross. It was just bad. It was bad. The whole thing. And the worst part of it all is we're driving home, and Winston was like, well, that was an adventure. But at least, it was probably only like $10 a person or something, right, Rachel? No. We spent $156 to take our family to this. So anyways, it was just one of those moments where I thought, okay, I'm going to learn. And the bright side of all of this is that, we have a good memory. We still laugh about it because, again, trapped in this fairground tents with bounce houses in Diego was not a great Saturday. Okay, let's dive into the actual list, though, of really things that are not worth the money. And the first thing that I thought about was expensive athleisure wear. So $100 for a pair of leggings in this economy? No. Now listen, I love Lululemon. I love all the nice things. It's great. But y'all, the same stretchy fabric technology now is like in so many places. I have ones from Amazon, some from Old Navy, and they are a fraction of the price, and they're fantastic. So that's one thing that I will go Target, Old Navy, Amazon for all that stuff. Again, if you want to splurge on a couple of items from like the nicer places, I'm sure they're wonderful and nice. I have some, but overall, if I just need some running shorts, I'm probably going to go to Target for that. All right, the next popular item that I think is a waste of money is for my friends with hoarding tendencies. I love you guys, but renting out storage units or investing in collectibles is not always the wisest way to spend your money. So listen, if you have to have multiple storage units for all your crap, we probably could do some purging, don't you think? We could probably say, hey, that's just trash we could throw out. Here's some things we could sell. Like, we may just have too much stuff. And the fact that, for some people, they're paying a monthly rent on a place to keep all of this. Now, I get it. If you went from like a house to an apartment, you're downsizing. Like, if there's a transitional period during time, I get it. Absolutely. But overall, just think of all the crap you have and just ask yourself, would I be sad if this was gone? Because the truth is, you're probably not. Now, again, there are a few exceptions here, but let's just think about how we can save money on rent when it comes to a storage unit. All right, number 3 for me is expensive kids' clothes. So if you are a parent, you know how much time it feels like it takes to keep up. My kids, they grow so fast. Like we go through 2 sizes of shoes, usually throughout the school year, from one summer to the next. I mean, there were just this and all of it. There's just so much. And so I will look for sales for my kids when it comes to nicer stores. But honestly, I just get stuff from Old Navy and Target. Like, that is it. When they were like little, I would go to consignment sales because a bunch of bougie moms in like the rich part of town would have like pretty smock dresses and like all these like really, really nice outfits that I would get at a fraction of the cost, which was amazing. But y'all, I'm like, the kids, let's just be honest. They're going to grow out of them. And they're a mess. Like, they go to school, all of it. So I will buy inexpensive clothes all day for my kids. The 4th product that I think is a waste of money is any and all food at the movie theater. So we are a pre-movie Walgreens family. So if we go to the movies, we usually go to Walgreens and get the candy boxes there. It's half the cost. And I remember even when I was a kid, my mom would get a bag. She bought a bag of popcorn, y'all, at the movie theater. And it was like, you could get refills for free. She would like fold that bag and put it in her purse. And like next time we went, she'd like shake it out and go get more popcorn. So we found ways to scoot around the system. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it happened. And one time we took all of our kids to the movies and I was like, let's just go big and let's just do it. Like, we'll buy, the food here. And y'all, it was so much. It was so expensive. So listen, putting some stuff in the old purse, like, just do it. Just do it. Save some money that way. Now, the next item on the list can easily run people about $5,000. But before I tell you more about that, I want to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable. And that's Christian Healthcare Ministries. So CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members that take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So find out more at chministries.org/budget. All right, popular product number 5 that I think is a waste of money. A Dyson. Yep. And I know you guys, I'm going to get some heat for this, but listen, I'm convinced that a vacuum cleaner is a vacuum cleaner. A hair dryer is a hair dryer. And just like the legging technology has caught up with us, there are tons of dupes out there for viral hair appliances like the Dyson hair wrap. And again, I listened to this podcast with this hairstylist and she was like, no. And she named up like 3 or 4 other hair dryers too that were better than the Dyson and cost half of the money. So I think there's some other alternatives out there. So don't feel like you have to fall into that trend. All right, the 6th product that I think is a waste of money is airport and airplane food. I know. So listen, we're talking $10 bottled waters. Remember magazines? That used to buy magazines. They were like $7 per magazine, all of it. And then you got to pay for the air Wi-Fi service, the overpriced cocktails on the plane, like all of it. And it is so easy for your money to slip through your fingertips when you're traveling. So before you travel, just think, hey, throw in some snacks, throw in an empty water bottle, because a lot of now airports, you can fill up your bottle at different water filling stations. And again, if you want to have, a cocktail on the plane or something here or there, that's great. But just know all of this is going to cost so much, and that's money you could have spent at your destination, having a great night out. So just remember that. Now, the 7th item that ends up being a waste of money is twofold. Popular jean styles and trendy jewelry pieces. They're always changing, you guys, always changing. And I do want to invest in new cuts and colors every season, and I just do it. And when I buy that stuff, it's usually Amazon, Old Navy, Target, Abercrombie, all the things. Because again, even jeans, you think about jeans and how much they have changed over the last 4 years. And if you want to kind of just be on trend a little bit, you're probably going to cycle through some styles and all of it. So go on the cheap end. Don't buy the really expensive stuff. And finally, the one financial product that I never recommend is something that is supposed to help you out when you're in need, but it absolutely does not. And that is whole life insurance. So whole life insurance, you guys, it is, I think, one of the worst financial products on the market, because you're getting insurance for your whole life, but it also has a investment attached to it so that you get a crappy rate of return. And through some of the accounts, they keep the money when you die. It's all this stuff. No. So I recommend getting term life insurance, have your investing in something completely different. And if the end of the life stuff isn't on your radar yet, I hate to be the bearer of news, but you are going to die. So you need to be thinking about this stuff, you guys. And I know it's not fun to think about, but think through this. And especially if you have someone that is dependent upon your income, make sure you have life insurance. Now, I love Xander Insurance, and you can get a free quote in just a few minutes. And you can go to RamseySolutions.com/term life and check that out. Now, while we're at it, if you haven't checked out my episode about 6 types of insurances that you need and some that you don't, make sure to do that today as well. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So I recently saw an article that laid out monthly spending trends for the average American. And the data comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it's really interesting to kind of get a peek behind everyone's budget. And since you guys find it so helpful to realistically compare your financial progress, I figured today, let's unpack that data together and just see where we all stand. And at the end, I'll share 3 ways to create a positive impact in your monthly budget, because I think that's also really important. And make sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. All right, let's get started. Okay, first, I want to clarify that when it comes to your money, you have to know where you are in order to know where you're going. And also remember that comparison is the thief of joy. And so as we're going through these numbers, I want you to have context of where you are in your financial journey, because it's going to help you be able to be like, okay, does this kind of feel on average? And then also, these are not this isn't you, right? This is the average American. So remember that, but don't compare how someone else is doing to you from a deeper sense, right? Because your financial journey is so personal. And I always talk about, put the blinders on, run your own race. And I think that's really important. So again, always remember this balance of, seeing other people's numbers and thinking, okay, that's kind of where we line up. I think that's good. But don't get so bogged down and feel like, oh my gosh, we're doing terrible or whatever it may be, right? So there's a balance here, but it's always good to feel like you're never alone because you're not. We're all on this journey together. All right, so let's look at the average American's spending habits, and then I will kind of react and give you my thoughts as we go along. So as a baseline for context, remember the average annual salary nationwide is about $59,000. So $60,000 on average. All right, let's break down these numbers. The average spent on housing was $2,120. And that feels about right, especially if you have a mortgage in there. Rent has gone up. So in my head, usually around that like $1,800 to $2,000-ish mark on average feels about right. It's kind of what I hear from the Ramsey Show when we have callers. So yeah, that feels about right. Average spent on food, $832. So this one's interesting because this food category doesn't break out groceries and restaurants. So it's like all together. And I'm going to say as a family of five, that it was a little low. I was like, okay. The Cruzes could probably tighten up on that line item a little bit on our end. All right, the average amount spent on transportation, $1,098. So transportation usually includes gas. For some people, that's also insurance, kind of upkeep for your car. But per month, $1,000, which I always think gas, that feels high. But then if you add in all those other repairs and insurance, then it's probably right on. And auto insurance is one of those expenses that was on the rise the last 2 years. It's gotten very expensive. All right, next, the average amount spent on healthcare, $513. And this is an interesting one because when it comes to medical expenses, this is one sinking fund that I always recommend for people because yes, hopefully you have insurance, but even with insurance, you're going to pay some out of pocket. And you may not have all your insurances. Like we don't have dental or vision for our family. So we do pay out of pocket for those, which can get really expensive. So when you average it out, that feels about right. All right, the average amount spent on personal insurance and pensions. So I'm assuming this is like your health insurance, maybe life insurance. I don't know how many insurances were included here, but then also your pension, if you have one, that's taken out of your paycheck. So that's going to be $796 per month. I don't know why. Yeah, it feels high. I feel like some of these usually get taken out of your paycheck before it hits your account. So when you go back and look at your pay stub, that and sometimes taxes, you're like, oh, wow, that's how much we spent. It's usually more than what it feels like because you don't always see it. The average spent on entertainment, $303. Feels right. The average spent on reading, oh my gosh. Hello, fellow book lovers. This was an actual line item. Thank you, Bureau of Labor Statistics, was $10, the average amount spent. Okay, and I will just say from my vantage point, if you're getting just a paperback book, you can get one for like $9 to $13, $14. So if someone's reading once a month, on average, that feels right. The average spent on miscellaneous, $110 on average. Now, miscellaneous is a category I do tell you to have in the budget as well, because there's going to be catch-alls of things that you don't plan for that do come up that you need to put somewhere in your budget to stay on track with that zero-based idea with your income minus all of your expenses equals zero. And if something comes up and you don't have a category for it, you're like, well, what do we do? That's where the miscellaneous category comes in. And that does feel a little low, $100. I feel like stuff comes up a lot for us, but I guess it's how detailed your budget is. All right, the average amount spent on apparel and services, $170. Yeah, that feels right too. It's good. Okay, so I have some more thoughts and 3 tips I want to give you. But first, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. So I saw a headline recently that really caught my attention that 1/3 of the U.S. population's background info is now public. So for 115 million of us, data breaches mean that our info is out there for anyone to find. So this is stuff like our names, addresses, phone numbers, and so much more. And this is why I love and use Delete Me, because they find and remove remove your information from hundreds of data broker websites that will buy, sell, and trade your personal data. So take control of your online privacy with Delete Me. Individual Delete Me plans start as low as $9 a month. So sign up today at joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, or click the link in the description. Okay, so there's all the numbers. That's where the average American falls when it comes to all of these categories. But no matter where you fall in these averages, what matters to me is that you have control over your money so that you can achieve your money goals. So remember these three things. Number one, if you're not liking what you're seeing, use that motivation to make a change next year. We are coming up in the new year, and this is a great time to make a change. So if you're seeing your numbers and then you're comparing them maybe, and you're thinking, oh gosh, or maybe you pulled your numbers for the first time, when I told you to do that at the beginning of this video, and you think, oh wow, this is a lot of money that I'm eating out, or whatever it may be. If you don't like where you're at, you can change. You can decide to make a change, because if you don't, you're going to keep getting the same results. All right. Number two, remember you're the exception. Let's just say that average people, quote unquote, out there are not being intentional with their money. When we see surveys and read data, a lot of people don't know always where their money goes. They don't know how much debt they have. They don't know how much is in retirement. I mean, a lot of people, they just don't have a lot of intentionality around their money. So if you are listening to this podcast or watching this video, you're doing something. You're reaching out at some level to want to be smart with money. So that is a great thing. You are learning and growing, which is always where you want to be. And number three, when systems, boundaries and guardrails are in place, you and your money will thrive. When you have elements in your life, whether it's tools or apps or a way of thinking or a process or a plan, you're more likely to achieve your money goals. You're more likely to get control of your money. If you just say, I want to be in control of my money, I don't want to be stressed, but you don't do anything with that, then it's not going to happen. So what I'm talking about is everything from the baby steps, even this, our 7-step plan, actually having some checkpoints to say, hey, what progress can I be making with my money? Even having conversations if you're married with a spouse or if you're single with a friend, making that part of your routine. Even a monthly budget is something that's really going to help you. I mean, we put this into place when we first got married, and it has been so helpful to know and have a plan every single month with where our paycheck is going. And we use EveryDollar. It is the best budgeting app. And I have it on my phone. Winston has it on his, and we have the same account. So every single month we plan for the next month, and we're like, okay, what's happening here, here, and here? You add categories. It's connected to our bank account. So the transactions come in and we can drag and drop them. It is a system to keep us on track with our money goals. And it's so helpful. So I'll put a link down in the description so you can check out EveryDollar and build your first budget for free. But there's also other things that you can be doing, even, listening to podcasts or watching, YouTube channels like this one, like whatever it is, put some things into place to continue to learn and to grow and to implement in your life. And if you're looking for more ways to cut down when it comes to your spending specifically, I break it down in my episode, 22 expenses to cut that you won't even miss. So you can click right here or click the link below to check that out. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Why does it feel like so many high-income earners are still living paycheck to paycheck? Well, spoiler alert, it's more than just lifestyle creep. So today we're going to talk about the common reasons why people still feel like they are stretched thin financially, even when their salary goes up. Make sure to subscribe, share this episode with a friend. All right, you guys, number one. The first reason is pretty obvious, but it's the increased cost of living. So this is a legitimate issue that does affect people on all income levels. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average monthly expenses for an American household are about $6,440. That's a total of $77,280 per year. And the average annual salary in the U.S. is only around $61,900. If those exact numbers apply to you, then you are coming up more than $15,000 short. So obviously this depends on several factors of why this is happening. Where you live, this is a big one. Depending on your city is going to be a huge deterrent, because it's either like Maybe it's a metropolitan area. Maybe it's a big city, a very expensive city. Or maybe you're more, I don't know, in the Midwest or the South, and you're like, it just doesn't feel that expensive. And how many kids you have. This is a major factor as well, because obviously the more kids you have, the more expensive life is. Also, how many incomes you have is also a factor. Now, dual income households is pretty common today, but we do find that, people are trying to live on one income. Some people are doing it well, some people not so much. Also, whether you're juggling minimum payments. So debt is a factor in this too. But regardless, cost of living will rob you of financial peace if you're not running the numbers and making reasonable adjustments. We have a cost of living calculator that you can check out just to look at your current situation. And sometimes a job pivot or even moving to a different area might be right for your family. And those are some really big decisions. But also you may see, okay, the numbers are just not working and we don't see a way out. So I'll put a link for that calculator down below. Okay, reason number 2, I mentioned it earlier, but lifestyle creep is a real thing. So you guys, what's wild is as your salary increases and you get raises over time, right? You're better at your job, maybe you move jobs, whatever that looks like, you end up living up to what you're making. And instead of saying when you were 20 years old, like, oh my gosh, if I ever made X amount of what you're making now, you're like, I would be great. I would do fine. But now that you're there, you're like, no, it's all this other life circumstances around us. And I really do believe our standard of living, what we feel like is normal, is higher than it was in generations past. And so all of that is a factor. So as you continue to make more, if you're not careful and you're not diligent, you will just keep spending up to that line. And so you have to have the discipline to say, okay, here's where our lifestyle is. If we make more money, how do we up our lifestyle by a small percentage, but also use that margin to do things that create peace in our lives? And that's getting out of debt and an emergency fund. So all of that is so, so important. All right, hot take. I would take lifestyle creep over internet creeps any day. And that is why I love Delete Me. Delete Me is amazing because it goes in and removes your personal data. Because if you don't do that, it's basically like you have a billboard with your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names. And they're out there on these sketchy data broker websites. And you see data brokers, they collect your data, then they sell it, and then it puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But here's the good news. Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. That's why Winston and I, we use Delete Me. It saves us a ton of time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly costs to under $9 a month. Or you can click the link down in the description. All right, reason number 3 that feels like we are living paycheck to paycheck, even if you're earning a high income, is not living debt-free. So you have to understand that just earning a income that is higher than what you are now doesn't mean that, okay, I can make more payments then. And that's how a lot of people have this psychology. They're like, okay, I can just afford a bigger payment, so I'm going to continue to go into debt and live with debt. And debt steals your income. That's what happens. You take this great big income that you have, especially if you're a high earner, and it comes in. And if it's still going back out 18 different directions on more expensive debt than maybe you had 10 years ago, it's still leaving. It's still not giving you not only the cash margin, but also the margin to go and invest for you to be able to build wealth yourself. So we are making the financial industry and banks rich versus ourselves. And we don't want that. We want to build wealth and create security and peace for us. So getting out of debt is a big part of not living paycheck to paycheck, even if you're a high income earner. And the 4th reason is possibly who you're surrounded by. So what you'll see is as you make more money, you tend to spend more time around other high earners. So you're a new norm of people. Maybe it's a small circle. Maybe it's because you move neighborhoods or you move to a different part of your city, or maybe your kids are starting a different school because maybe you can afford the private school, or maybe it's the sports leagues that you're in and you have the ability to like be in, better, more elite sports leagues. Like whatever the thing is, you slowly, if you look up, you end up being around people that have, to a degree, the same income level as you. Not always, but sometimes. And then what happens slowly over time is your normal is then around other high-income earners. And if all of them are living a well-off life, then that is what you keep seeing day in and day out as normal. And so you almost become desensitized by it, where you keep thinking like, oh yeah, this is what it should be. This is how many vacations I should be taking. This is what my vacations should look like. This is the kind of car I should drive. This is how my house should be decorated. Like all of that changes the scope of how you view money and how you spend your money. And so suddenly you are keeping up with the Joneses. Maybe a different kind of Joneses, but they're the Joneses. And then the crazy thing about all of this is that they could be living paycheck to paycheck and you have no idea. So it is pretty wild where we are all at. But listen, people will pull some pretty wild moves when they are trying to not live paycheck to paycheck. And if you want to see my reaction to some of these habits that people take on, make sure to catch my episode, 10 Habits That Scream I'm Trying to Look Wealthy. I'll put a link down below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Anytime something becomes normalized, people start questioning it less and less. And one thing in the financial world that is so normal is credit cards. But there are some crucial things that you need to know about how this industry works. So make sure to subscribe, like, and share this episode with a friend. So first and foremost, credit cards are not a helpful spending tool for consumers. They're a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yes, credit cards are a form of debt. You borrow money, you pay it back later. And if you don't pay the full thing, you're paying interest on top of that. And so it's just really a way for people to either play a game, trying to get points and airline miles and all this stuff over here, or they're like literally using it because they have to make ends meet and they end up living beyond their means. And the credit card industry is there to catch their slack versus their own money. So it's really this detrimental part of the financial industry that everyone is like, oh, it's great, it's fine. But I'm telling you, living an autonomous life, like where you have a say over every part of your life and you're not borrowing money from the bank, not only do you spend less, but there's so much peace in your life when it's just you dealing with your money. So listen, we have established that, yes, credit card companies, they exist to make money and they're very, very good at it. So let's talk about how they do this. So like I said, the first way is interest payments. I mentioned that earlier, but if you pay your bill off every month, you may not be feeling this pain. But what we're seeing more and more is people are not paying their credit cards off every month and they are accumulating more and more debt. And so what happens is you end up paying interest, like basically a fee on top of what you already owe. And that interest with credit cards can be as high as 18, 22, sometimes 25%. We're seeing like it's insane the amount of interest that credit card companies are charging. And so there's actually some legislation going on to lower that, which would be great, just to protect some consumers. But man, it is a real thing and they make so much money off of interest payments. Now, another way that credit card companies make money is through annual fees. So the biggest pushback that I get about credit cards is, yeah, but Rachel, the points and the airline miles, like I get all these perks. And so, yeah, these perks may feel like free in the moment, but the truth is you're just paying for those perks at a different time because of what you're paying over what you would if you weren't using a credit card and plus all the annual fees. So they can run anywhere from $50 to $500, $600. So again, yeah, it feels like some great perks to sit at a great lounge at the airports, but you're spending that much money a year to do that. Now, if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for your information because your name, your address, your email, and even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. So data brokers, they collect your data, they sell it, and they put you at risk for scams and fraud. Delete Me removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I, we use Delete Me, and it saves us so much time and so much worry. So you guys, your family safety is huge, and financial security is way too important to leave it exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9 a month. It's incredible. So make sure to click the link in the description to check it out. All right, the third way credit card companies make money is swipe fees. So every time you use a credit card, whoever you're buying from has to pay a processing fee. So businesses increase their prices then to cover that cost. And if you've ever gotten a discount on a big purchase because you're paying with cash, swipe fees are what sellers are trying to avoid. So as they're swiping through, they are paying money, that retailer is. So credit card companies make money when you swipe your credit card. The fourth way that they make money is late fees. So if you are late, they will charge you some more fees. And credit card companies have the right to charge late fees anytime, even if your first late payment, was barely past the deadline. Like there's no room for human error on this. They will charge you. And sometimes if you have like some deal with debt where it's like no interest, all this, and the fine print, it's like if you're late, you get back charged all of that too. So they find ways to make a lot of money. Now, the fifth way credit card companies make money is with other corporations. When you think about airlines and credit card companies, they're not just like best friends, just like want to hang out together. No, they're doing it because they have that relationship because they are making so much money off of consumers. Yes, they are business partners, and airlines actually sell miles to credit card companies, and the credit card companies pay for them with your money from all the fees we just talked about, and they're in cahoots together. So again, this is all of your money, you guys, that's just kind of going to this industry of debts. And again, if you look at bank buildings, even in your city, they're huge and they're nice and they're wonderful because they make billions of dollars. So just avoiding that whole industry in general, not only financially, it's going to give you peace of mind, but man, it's going to give you your paycheck back to then actually use that money to make money for you. Like use money to save and invest over here to make you money, not to make the credit card and the bank's money. So when it comes to getting out of debt, it is so, so key that you really focus on becoming debt-free because your income is freed up. But the truth is that this video just scratches the surface when it comes to how the industry preys on desperate consumers. So if you want to learn more about this, make sure to check out this episode on the true price of living with debt right here. Or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. If you are a parent that thrives on structure, it's always a tough season when your routine is changing. So whether it's summer break or holidays, it is so easy to get caught up in the chaos. So today we're going to talk about 5 simple tips to keep you sane during those times, even if your routines are changing. But before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, number 1, make sure to create consistent rhythm. So this could be with your health, this could be with kids' schedules, this could be with your money, but have consistent rhythm. So think about like your money. Continuing to budget, even if it's a summer month and like every week looks different, be budgeting, still have a budget. If you're still saving and investing, be doing that. If you want to still be working out, still have those consistent times that you're doing it. Think about meal planning too. Like when you think about family dinners or having lunch at a certain time, like whatever you can do to minimize the chaos and have some rhythms is so, so important. All right, number 2, be more financially conservative. So when you are out of your normal routine, you're going to spend more money. And this is true if you have like a day in the summer and you're not doing anything. You're like, kids, let's go do something. Usually that ends up costing money. Or you're out of your routine and it comes with food, right? And you're like, okay, what's our plan for dinner tonight? And if you don't have a plan, usually you end up going and picking something up or going out to eat. So you spend more. Even from an income perspective, it can change and fluctuate. So if you're in a season, if you're a teacher, for instance, and in the summer, you're not working. So it's like, okay, what is that going to look like? So whenever you are in a season where it is crazy and it's so different than your normal routine, be more financially conservative. This is so, so key. All right, number 3, be organized. So if you have kids that are out of school, things can get hectic so quickly. So organization, it is so, so important. And if you don't have a plan for every day, right, don't stress about that. Enjoy it. But also again, have an idea and a direction. Because sometimes I do find if we go like 2 weeks or so and there's really nothing happening, they start to fight and bicker and you're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do to fill our time? So if there is a way to say, hey, let's have a direction on which we're going for our time, that's really important. And the same is true with your money too. Stay organized with your money because if you just know, hey, here's our budget, here's what we have to spend, it's going to help. I mentioned food earlier, but it is so true. We overspend on food always if we don't have a plan. So making sure that you have a plan in place for these big things is very helpful. And if you want to check out my meal planner and grocery savings guide, I can put that down below. So make sure to check that out. All right, speaking of your budget, one expense I always keep in my budget, no matter what time of year it is Delete Me. Delete Me is incredible, you guys. As a service, they go in and remove your information from data broker websites because now scams are getting so much more sophisticated, and there's a lot of phishing out there, even harassment that's happening because they can be so personalized to you and your phone number and your email and all of that because our information is out there. So Delete Me goes in and removes your information. So you can get an annual Delete Me plan for 20% off, which comes out to just $9 a month. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel or click the link in the description. All right, number 4. There's a level of all of this too that I just want you to embrace it. Like, embrace the chaos. If the routine is not perfectly in line, it's okay. Just stop and breathe. Just like everything else, the season is temporary and it goes really fast. So remember, you don't want to just wish things away. And I know with the chaos and like all of it, it can be easy to be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this stage or that stage. When you can embrace it and sit in it and be present with it, life is just more enjoyable. It is, because we can so often live so futuristically and like, okay, the future, what's the next milestone? So be in it. Just be in it. And number 5, leave margin. And this is true for your time and your money. So for your time, like, things are going to come up. And if you are so maxed out and if stuff is so planned out, so detailed, then you're not going to have the flexibility to do the unexpected things. And sometimes the unexpected things is what brings the most joy to life. So if you are so tight on time, you sometimes won't be able to enjoy that. So remember that. And then also with your money too, where you can have margin is so key, because if things do come up, you want to be able to enjoy it. So those are kind of 5 things that I've been walking through, especially when it comes to the summer and when my kids are home from school. And again, it's pretty short. It goes really fast. But when you're used to something for, 9-10 months out of the year and it changes, sometimes I need those reminders. So there's things that come up every year that you can start prepping for now. And I'm talking about things like back to school, the holidays, and even kids' birthdays, which we all know can be an unexpected budget buster. So go ahead and learn how to celebrate your kid's next birthday without totally going overboard. So watch this video on parents are spending how much on kids' birthdays. You can click there to watch, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, unfortunately, I can't magically deposit $1 million into your bank account tomorrow. I wish I could, but I can't. But believe it or not, I can offer you some pretty instant relief for whatever financial dilemma you might be facing. And spoiler alert, step 1 is a mindset shift, and step 2 gets a little bit more specific. So stay tuned for all of it, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. So I saw a CNBC article the other day, and it got me thinking about how important the mindset is when it comes to your money. We always say around Ramsey that personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. So there's a head knowledge side that you need to know, but mindset is even more than just head knowledge. So not even knowing the facts and numbers, being able to explain what a mutual fund is. So we're not talking about that. But the mindset and the belief and why you do things with money is such a big deal, because that is paired so closely to your behavior. And when your mindset changes, then your behavior is going to change. But it can be tough to sort through your thoughts and your anxieties and kind of get to the other side of worry and doubt. So let's set aside 20 minutes, either daily or weekly, and I want you to do 5 simple steps. You ready? Step 1, write everything down. Write it all down. And this can include your worries, your stressors, your frustrations, financial problems, like whatever is going on that's in your head that is stressing you out. Write it down. I will do this on my notes app, sometimes on my phone, because I'm like thinking through this, and it may be even small stressors of like a scheduling thing. And I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to be late here? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to timestamp it out and just see it out there, because there's something about it getting out of your brain and out on paper to visualize what is going on. So if there's a stress point with your money that keeps coming up over and over and over again, write it down, get it out of your brain, put it down. Now we're going to do other things with it, but that is one of the first steps that you can do. I think alleviates some of it, because again, our minds are so powerful, y'all, and it can magnify things. It causes you to lose sleep. I mean, it does so much. The mind is so powerful. So when you can get it out of your mind and just visually see it out on paper, that's going to be really helpful. Next, I want you to sort that list, all the things that you worry about, into 2 categories: what you can control and what you can't control. Now, some of these are going to be broad. So spending, for instance, is something that you can immediately control. You can say, I feel like I'm overspending. Okay, we can change behavior and change that. Your salary, you may be able to control long-term by making, different decisions, maybe career path or companies that you work at or whatever it may be. But today, you probably can't control that like right this second, right? You can go get a side hustle and maybe go do something new this weekend. But in that moment in today, we can't really change that. So you can put that in one category. Now, others might be more specific of, I don't know if we're going to have money for our kids to go to college or not. You can put that. Maybe everyone on Instagram seems to be traveling all the time and I feel like I'm just trapped in debt and I'm never going to get out and it's stressing you out. So being able to actually plot these things of, okay, can I take control of a certain part of this worry? And are there certain worries that are just completely out of my control? And I need to see that. Now, step 3 is once you have it listed, I want you to talk about it, verbalize it in some way. And this could even be taking a walk and praying about it. This could be talking to your spouse about it, talking to a friend. But what you're going to find is money is very emotional. And it's okay to have some feelings about your circumstances. I mean, it may cause a level of sadness and angst. You could even have feelings on the other end of like, okay, no, I'm actually feeling hopeful because I'm actually going to start a plan to deal with some of these things. But please say it out loud. Say it out loud. We talked about visually saying it, but bring someone else in because I do think when you have people in your life that you can kind of banter and have a conversation with some of the things that you worry about, and this could be money or not, that other person has a different perspective, a different story, a different way of looking at the situation. And hopefully they'll be able to empathize with you and actually meet you in some of your stresses and anxiety with it. But they also may be able to help just say a couple of things of encouragement, or they may have a different perspective and be like, it's just not that big of a deal, right? Like, I hear you and I know you're stressing out about that, but like, that's okay. Your kid is 6 months old. We don't need to be stressing about college right now. Like we got 18 years for that, right? So you just need a good friend or a spouse to kind of get you your perspective back. Now, steps 4 and 5 are going to be the solution part of this conversation and probably what you've been waiting for. But first, I do want to tell you about a solution to protect your family's personal info online, and that is Delete Me. So online scams get more and more advanced by the day, from phishing to harassment to weird AI messages that feel real. You cannot risk your personal info getting leaked to websites that you've never even been to before. So Delete Me does the hard work for you and cleans up your digital footprint. Your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9, or just click the link in the description. Now, another incredible sponsor that exists to serve you, the customer, is Fairwinds Credit Union. So when you are working the baby steps, your bank shouldn't be working against you. This is why I love Fairwinds Credit Union, because they share Ramsey values like getting out of debt and saving for the future, but also they put people first. Their smart checking and savings bundle was designed to line up with the baby steps so you can keep your momentum and continue to build wealth the smart way. So when you're ready to move your money somewhere that supports your financial goals, Fairwinds is what you've been looking for. Just head to fairwinds.org/Ramsey to open your smart checking and savings bundle today. All right, step 4, take small tactical steps towards the change that you want to see. So next to every stressor that you have written down, just put a little plan in place, like just a small thing. What can you be doing? If you're stressed about college savings, just say, all right, today I'm going to open up a 529. Like, I'm going to just do that, right? Or maybe that feels overwhelming and just say within the next week, within the next month, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe if you want to go on a trip and you're like, okay, I'm going to be out of debt in 17 months and it feels like forever, then plan a vacation maybe 6 months after that to know, okay, once I'm out of debt, I can start saving X amounts. Instead of paying off debt, maybe I can save a little bit while I'm saving for my emergency fund to put as a vacation sinking fund. Or maybe you are debt-free and you have an emergency fund. You just feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. Well, maybe it's to say, okay, let's look at the budget and take some money out and actually save for vacation, being proactive with it. Maybe it's creating professional goals that you want to achieve in the next year. Maybe you're looking and seeing your salary and you're like, I'm just not happy here. I'm not happy with this. And maybe that kind of sparks an idea of a career change or a shift. And you think, okay, maybe I need to do something or talk to someone who's in this other field that I'm thinking about. Whatever it is, just have one small action item and put it next to each stressor because you're actually starting to solve the problems. Now, in the column of what I can't control, there may not be any solutions because we can't always control the housing market and interest rates and all of that. So there may not be much solution there, but the things you can, give a small solution. And step 5 is to have a high-level plan so you know what to attack first. And overall, you guys, your financial plan should be the 7 baby steps. And if you're not doing these are going to help guide so much of the big stressors people have because people feel overwhelmed with debts. They feel overwhelmed because they don't have savings. And the baby steps help solve a lot of those. So make sure to get a $1,000 emergency fund first. Once you do that, you can move on to baby step 2, which is to get completely out of debt, everything but your house. Then baby step 3 is to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. And so those are all done individually. Once you complete all of those, then you can start saving for retirement, 15% of your income, save for kids' college, like we talked about, pay the house off early, put some extra towards the house. And then once that's all complete, you are on to baby step 7, which is just building wealth and continuing to be generous. So having an overall financial plan is going to help. And then even a budget is going to help you with that. Every dollar is an incredible tool when it comes to your budget and your overall financial plan. So they talk through the baby steps, things you can do, small changes you can make to help find margin. But every dollar is incredible. I'll put a link down below. Now, while we're talking about some powerful shifts, you have to check out the 5 powerful ways to redefine wealth. And it's not just about money. That's coming up next. You can click here, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So today we decided to lean into the fun, and there are a handful of financial topics in this bowl that are controversial. And I'm going to pull one out, share my hot takes. It's going to be fun. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All righty, y'all ready? First topic. Dun, 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 dun. Using credit cards for points. Oh yeah, I see you, credit card. I see you. Okay, listen. Here's the thing. I get that there's a game, and I get that people are like, okay, but I did this. I got to fly to Alaska and then to Tokyo and then to Dubai, all for free, first class, because of my credit card points, like whatever. Okay, I hear you. But what we have to understand is like they are playing the game on the other end, and they are making billions of dollars, you guys, like so much money off of us. And to understand, okay, they are winning at a game, and I am not. So what you don't see in some of that is not only the amount of money you tend to overspend when you use other people's money, and that has been proven through studies, and also the fact that you may be paying your credit card off every month, and you're like, yeah, but I'm not paying interest. Well, it's the people that aren't paying their credit card off every month, and some of these people are very much struggling, that then that's how the perks get paid to get paid out to other people. So like the whole thing about it, I don't like. And I don't like the idea of a credit card either because I don't want to bill at the end of the month. Like I want to pay for the thing in the moment for my Jersey Mike sub or whatever it's going to be, like in the moment, and then I'm going to be done with it. And so there's something about living in the present with your money that's really important. So get the credit cards out of here. But I know that's controversial. All right. Should the government forgive student loan debt? Okay. I mean, my heart, let me say this, my heart and my head say 2 different things, because my head says, which is the truth, that, you sign up for something, you owe it. Like, that's what it is. Like that is the truth of it. And to have other people pay for something that you signed up for, I could see is not fair. Like, I get that. Now, my heart says, though, that, these 18-year-olds that are signing up for these loans, a lot of them don't even know what they're doing. Like their frontal lobe isn't even fully formed. And it's sadly, the irresponsible people in their lives that are like, go and do it. Yeah, this is great. And then they get themselves in a mess. And so I hate that they take on, some of them, basically a mortgage, like so much money, some of them hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And nobody seems to, talk to them about this, or the industry isn't like, hey, that's probably not a great idea. And they're 18-year-olds doing this. So like my heart, I hate it. I hate it so much because I don't think it's fair in one way that you're 18 and you sign up for this and you may not even know what you're signing up for. You may not, you don't realize it. But then on the other hand, you know, you sign something, you got to pay it. So, that's a hard one, but is what it is. All right, getting a prenup. Okay, my take on prenups, my knee jerk is always a no. I don't like the idea of saying like, okay, well, this is mine and this is yours. And if something happens, like, you know, we get all this divided up. I don't know. There's something about it that I'm like, you just want the idea of marriage to be what it is, like this lifelong commitment, right? But then on the other hand, knowing that that doesn't turn out half of the time. And if you have a lot of assets going into a marriage, then that is the one time that I would say, yeah, maybe a prenup is not a bad idea. If there's a major financial discrepancy, then, you know, there's a time and a place for it. So I'm not a black and white no on prenups or a black and white yes. Some people are like, no matter what. But I'm like, no, I'm sorry. The 2014 Honda Civic, okay, sorry. If the assets get divided towards let that be part of it. I don't know. There's something about this gatekeeping I don't like. But if there is a discrepancy there and you feel like, this would be a wiser move to do the prenup. Yeah, I get it. Next, giving 10% of your money or more away. So we always say to be giving regardless of where you are financially. And a lot of people think, well, gosh, but I could be using that money to get out of debt or to save up for my emergency fund or do other things with it. But when you are talking about money, you're talking about the whole person because we are the ones handling our money. And the character that you put on as a person throughout your financial journey is so crucial. And when you give and you live your life with an open hand, there is a selflessness, there is a place of serving and giving and sacrifice that's really beautiful. And having that to be a part of your life and your character, regardless of where you are financially, I'm on board with. Before I see what else is in here for us, let me tell you about one of our incredible sponsors, Delete Me. So if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for everyone to see. It's your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And those data brokers then collect your data and sell it, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off their annual plans, bringing your monthly cost to under $9 a month, or click the link in the description. All right, next up, what do we got? Sports betting, day trading, and crypto. No. All of this. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of sports betting. I think it's stupid. I mean, do what you want with it, but I mean, it can lead to some dark places. And there are a lot of stories out there, you guys, where people get in over their heads, and it's not good. Not good. Day trading, it's very risky. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I don't have time to sit there and be on my phone on Robinhood and No, I can't. So mutual funds, long-term investments, high yield savings. I mean, all of it. I'm just go, let it be, and let it ride the wave. And I just want to enjoy my life and have some peace and not be looking at my phone all the time. Even though I do sometimes for social media, I don't want to look at it to day trade. And then crypto, I'm just not a fan. I think it may become legit here in a little bit. And some people are like, it is legit now. And I'm like, no, it is so freaking all over the place. And the amount of calls we get on the Ramsey Show with crypto scams is horrible. So it's an industry I'm not willing to be in on right now. And a lot of people love it. And the crypto bros think it's amazing. But again, I'm old school and I have a lot of peace in my life because of it, I think. So there's that. All right, next. Paying for kids' college using home equity. No, do not pull equity out of your home to pay for your kids' college. No. Your kids, they can go in-state. They can go to a community college, scholarships and grants. They can work. They can take a gap year, work, save a lot of money. I mean, there's ways to do the college thing, but taking equity out of your home to do it, that's a hard no for me. Next, having a 15-year versus a 30-year mortgage. Okay, so we always recommend a 15-year because part of getting out of debt quickly is putting systems in place that help you do that. And 15-year, it's going to help you get out of debt and pay off your mortgage in 15 years. Now, hopefully you do it sooner than that. We see that a lot of people are paying off their homes in like 9 years, 8 years, which is amazing. But the idea that the 30-year, everyone's like, I can pay it like a 15. So listen, it's just one of those things. Put yourself in a system that's going to get you to where you want to go the most efficiently. And a 15-year does that. Now, if you want more information when it comes to real estate in general, go to RamseySolutions.com/real estate, and you can access our dashboard. And there's so many helpful resources and tools on there when it comes to the home buying process and just kind of what's going on in the market. So that's a fantastic place to check out. All right, last but not least, charging kids rent if they move back home during or after college. I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest fan. I get the motivation is because you want them to feel like they are contributing something, or if they were out on their own and paying their own rent, it'd probably be more expensive, but at least they're doing something so that's in their budget. Like all of that I understand. But if it's for a season, because I'm not a fan of someone living at home for like a long period of time. So for a season, I probably wouldn't charge my kids rent just because I want them to be able to like have their budget, know what they're going to do when they launch into the real world and actually start to live on their own. That part of budgeting and part of paying for things is already going to be mapped out and they know it's happening. So I think some parents want to for like responsibility's sake. So it's not a wrong thing, but I don't think it's absolutely 100% necessary. All right, my controversial hot takes don't end here. Make sure to check out 6 things I teach about money that'll make you angry or wealthy. That's coming up after this. Or if you're listening on podcast, I will put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. I recently saw a video from The Ramsey Show, a show that I co-host every week. And this specific episode, it was Dave Ramsey and Dr. John Deloney. And the caller was dealing with a parenting situation, and it had Dave a little perplexed. And I actually get this question all the time. So I thought we would watch the clip and kind of dive into the conversation a little bit deeper together. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, here is the clip that I saw.
I'm just wondering if there is any way or hope to get an 18-year-old to budget when they are surrounded by wealth and not limited by regular constraints. They have no debt. They're not paying for college. They're not paying for cars.
Who's 18-year-old?
My 18-year-old.
So you put some givens in there of which you control all of them.
I don't.
Okay. So
her family, the in-laws will give her money whenever she asks. She thinks everybody should get their own car. She thinks no 18-year-old needs to budget. And she's off to college next year, and we're trying to.
Who pays for college?
Well, her father will pay for it.
Her father married to you?
Yes.
Okay. So we will pay for her college.
Yes.
Okay.
And, so we can't really say if you don't do this, then we won't pay for college because
Why?
she knows he will pay for the college.
Oh.
how
so
are
you don't have a
not
daughter
aligned?
problem, you have a husband problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So let me put it this way. She's acting like an 18-year-old. And I wouldn't begrudge her a second because she's acting exactly developmentally appropriate. Dave just nailed it. You have a husband problem.
And it's his parents that are the twerps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he needs to tell his mom and dad, stop it, you're screwing up my kid. And he needs to stop screwing up his kid.
Yeah, I think so.
No, you don't.
So this is a question, that we kind of get a lot where they're like, hey, listen, I don't want to screw up my kids, but yet we have all these resources. And this specific call, I think Dave kind of nailed it on the head of like, well, you're the adults in the house, so you're the one screwing it up. And I like what Dr. John Deloney said too. He's like, she's 18. Like her whole frontal cortex isn't even fully developed to make decisions. You're the parents still. Like you are the parents. And yes, she's 18 about to go off to college, but you guys have the ability to do some really great things and create some boundaries. But listen, I was raised with parents and they were building wealth as we were getting older. And I know now that parents who want to set their kids up for success, there has to be things put into place. So if you are maybe on baby step 7, and you want to raise like humble, smart, resilient kids, it's so important to talk about this. And even if you're not there yet, but maybe you do have kids and you're on this financial journey and you're like, what do we do? How do we do this? How do we not raise entitled brats? How do we raise kids who have the ability to make a name for themselves and to go out and to work hard and understand how money works from an early age? So here are 6 things just to keep in mind that have been helpful for me, but also it's some things that I've heard from other people that have done this really, really well. So number 1 is, as parents, we are responsible for the family unit, okay? And here's the thing, money and kids, they're not the problem. If you're the parent, you're the one that really is the one putting in these habits and the environment for your kids. And so you want to be able to say, this is our responsibility. Like, this is what we have to do. And you can't control your kids. I get that. But you can put mechanisms in place in the family unit within boundaries, within the environment that help them see that money itself has boundaries and it's not limitless. It's not. And so they have to understand that from a really early age. Now, if you are trying to take control of your family's finances and money habits, Everydollar is a great budgeting app that you can make sure to check out. But understanding that it has limits, it has boundaries, money does. Your kids need to know that. Number 2, kids should have consequences when they don't meet expectations. So regardless of your level of wealth, regardless of whether, you decide of what you're going to give your kids, what you're not, your kids have to create some responsibilities that are going to force them to take ownership of something. And so regardless of what the details are, they need to realize that every action they have has consequences because this prepares them for the real world. And so there is this idea of you work, you get paid, you don't work, you don't get paid. Like something simple like that on a commission system for your kids is great. And when you give your kids responsibility, it actually gives them a level of self-worth. When they actually complete something, they know that they can contribute. And that is a really powerful thing when they go out into the real world, knowing that their contribution and what they give to the world and to their families is really important. Number 3 is to remind your kids that other people are always going to have and do things that you don't. Again, back to this limit idea. Like, we are not going to go and look and do exactly what other families in our lives do. We're not. Like, that's just the reality. There will always be people that have more money, more time, more energy, all the things in their lives. Things have limits. These parts of our lives have limits. And this is not a scarcity mentality. This is just a reality. And so I say this to our kids a lot. Like, well, so-and-so has this and this. And I'm like, guys, for the rest of your life, there's going to be somebody. There's going to be somebody that always is going to have or experience or do things that you're not going to be able to experience and do and have. Like, you're just not, right? There's people in my life that I see and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all this big stuff they're doing. I don't have the ability to do that stuff. Like, I can't, right? So they have to learn that that's always going to be an issue. And this gets into a little bit of like the comparison cycle and all of it. You cannot compare yourself to everyone else because someone is always going to have a newer, bigger, nicer thing than you. And that's okay. That's okay. The next tip on my list comes from my husband, but before I share that, I do want to tell you about one of our incredible sponsors, Delete Me. If you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for all to see because your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And data brokers collect your data, they sell it, and it puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me goes in and removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use Delete Me, and it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for it, Delete Me, and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9, or click the link in the description. All right, number 4 is to create and maintain a baseline. This is something that Winston always says, because I do worry about this. I'm always like, oh my gosh, our kids, like, are they going to be okay? Because they're experiencing a life totally different than what I experienced growing up. And so it not totally different. Like my parents did, they did a good job, but like my kids like go to the beach. I was like, we never like really did that growing up. Like there's things like that they are experiencing. And so Winston was saying the other day, because we were talking about this, he was like, Rachel, like our baseline is so important. Like what our kids know is normal is really important. But they don't get everything they want. We're not going to go buy new stuff all the time for them. Like we're just not. Like they're going to hear the word no quite a bit. I mean, there's some fun yeses, But the thing is, when these big spikes in life happen, the big excitements, the big trip, the big purchase, whatever it is, there's spikes. We don't live at the spike level. We live down here. So when the spikes happen, we can actually be really grateful and understand like, this is a big deal. This is really fun. We don't do this a lot. And there's something about that living that I think is so healthy. So that baseline, what you said is normal, is what they're going to expect life to be like. So if normal is being generous, being kind, working hard, hearing the word no, like all of that, that's what we want. It's a beautiful thing. Number 5 is that more is caught than taught. So we can talk all day about this, you guys, but your kids are watching you. They're watching you. And there's something about saying all of this that is great, but if you're not living it out yourself, your kids are going to pick up on that. They are so smart. They hear things, they see things, they are watching and observing, and they're assuming how you're doing life is the right way to do life. So you can give them all the speeches in the world, but what is so powerful is your actions and what you are doing. And man, it is so hard though, because raising kids, it is an art. It is not a science. I wish we had like a checklist of like every little thing you need to do, but it's just not like that. It's not. I mean, every kid is different. The way you parent, it may even change depending on the kid and what they need, all of it. So it is tough. But again, all of these things, as you keep it in mind, I know it's a lot. We juggle so much if you have kids. I love what Andy Andrews says. You're not just trying to raise good kids. You're trying to raise kids to be good adults. Like, how are you preparing them for life in the real world while still being kids? Yes. But be thinking through this as you are explaining things to them, creating a lifestyle, and value system in your household, all of it. And remember, you want your kids to have some bumps in the road. The goal is not a clear, smooth path in life. It's not, because that is not life. And so creating some of this resilience in them, I think, is so big. Now, I happen to agree with Dad on this call, but there are some times that I disagree with my dad. So check out the episode 2 times that I've disagreed with Dave Ramsey. You can click here to watch it, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.